what have you been up to the last 2 months since Election Day?
Well, I've been going to work every day and feeling good behind my desk, enjoying it. You know, my son's the new CEO of the company, and I'm very proud of him, and he's doing a great job. And I'll be there to assist him and pick up all the stuff that's extraneous and needs some help.
Is that difficult at all for you? I mean, you've been kind of running this company for so long, kind of step back and kind of hand over the reins. Or is it kind of exciting that it's staying in the family?
There's something really wonderful about handing off to your kid. Yeah, and that's nice.
Okay, well, let's talk about Andrew Cuomo. So far, he's kind of starting to get himself ready. He takes over in a couple of days. How do you feel about what he's doing so far?
Well, I'm still not his fan on how he acts as an attorney general. It's bothersome to me. I watched his activities since the election, and he just keeps doing the same thing. He wants to act as the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury. We heard about Patty Lynch only after he had made a settlement with Patty Lynch. The people are entitled to know when somebody's doing something wrong. The people should know what the person did, and the people should be able to observe the potential prosecution of that person for doing wrong. That's all hidden from us. Andrew Cuomo has historically taken these companies or these people and not accused them formally, but negotiated behind the scenes, and what you call that is extortion. When you take a company, a Wall Street company, and you say, hey, look, we've got the goods on you, but we'll settle with you. You put up this money, and we're going to look like heroes, all right, because we brought some money into the state treasury, and we're giving you a slap on the wrist. Well, naturally, the companies, whether they're innocent or guilty, the company's going to take that option because they can't stand the public scrutiny. Now, what have you accomplished? You haven't accomplished anything. But more importantly, you certainly haven't dealt with the problem judiciously. It is only Andrew who is making a decision on whether Hevesy, the most trusted person in government in the comptroller's job, $150 billion, and he's the sole trustee, and Andrew Cuomo made that decision that this guy will not go to jail, and he took the plea on the basis so that he could get an election announcement. All right, he took the plea and recommended to the court no jail time. Now, he was supposed to be sentenced last week, but I think my letter to Liz Benjamin may have scared them a little bit, and now they're delaying, and God knows what they're going to end up doing with him. But certainly, Hevesy has to go to jail. He has to go to jail because he maligned the people. He betrayed the public trust. He took $1 million in bribes. That's wrong. I don't care how sick his wife is, the man belongs in jail. Same with Ratner. They're going to let him walk. They're going to let Morris walk. All right? They made that deal with Patty Lynch. Patty Lynch was bribing. She was bribing, and she walked away with a $500,000 fine and a sanction against her dealing as a lobbyist with the comptroller's office. What about her dealing with the rest of government? She's a lobbyist. But, oh, wait a minute. She is Sheldon Silver's confidant. She is Sheldon Silver's probably one of his best friends in the world. And they had to cut a deal for her because she's a member of the Friends and Family Club. This is government at its worst. Andrew's going to be no better in the office of governor than he was in the office of attorney general. The press appears to have nothing but praise for him for acting as he has acted outside of the parameters of what the conduct of an attorney general should be, and that's wrong.
Well, we're a couple days away from Mr. Cuomo being sworn in as the next governor of the state. How concerned are you for the future of New York under his leadership?
I'm very concerned. The people he has to deal with, if he's going to put this state into a posture where people stop leaving, where we might start creating new jobs, where we might have a state that doesn't have to carry on its lapel, okay, the fact that it's the highest tax and the highest spending state in America, that we are, okay, the entitlement state of America. That's got to end. The only way it's going to end is when somebody gets confrontational with the entitlement programs, which are totally out of sorts. So somebody has to confront the government employees. This is a perfect opportunity this year. He has a tool available to him this year that none of our, well, that his predecessor didn't have, although Pataki did do it 10 years ago. He re-signed for binding arbitration. That is a big tool. He could get total pension reform. Did you know that 25% of the state employees and the government employees in the state are exempt? They're not protected under the Constitution from a change to a defined contributions plan from a defined benefits plan. They're not entitled to it. The first thing that our government should do is to enact legislation changing the pension plan for all the exempt employees to a defined contribution instead of a defined benefit plan. That will set the stage to then do it with the unions. Okay, the unions then will have a tougher time fighting the changes that are necessary, because right now we can't afford what they've got us into. It's just terrible.
Looking ahead, we talked about Cuomo, taking over as governor. The Republicans did win the Senate, so they no longer have where the Assembly, the Senate, and the governor are all one party. Do you think that might be good along those lines? Then, do you think how good is that for New York that the Senate is now in Republican hands and kind of have?
You've got to have balance in government. Otherwise, you get what we saw in the last 2 years. How destructive was everything that those people did? I mean, they were totally out of sorts. They got so bad that they got involved. I mean, the leadership got involved in a bid rigging scheme. And we don't even know how deep that goes. That federal investigation will be going on for some time. But that's how bad it got. That the head of the Senate, okay, Sampson, Smith, our own guy here, Antoine Thompson, all right, the governor's secretary, all kinds of people in that government were involved in a bid rigging and the aqueduct project. That's how careless and out of sorts things will get if you don't have a balance in government. If you don't have somebody ready to point the finger and say, this is wrong. We haven't had it, and that was tragic.
I know you're not ready to talk about the election in general, but moving forward, are you going to stay active in the political scene at all? Have you decided that yet? Are you going to stay active in fighting for New Yorkers?
I'm going to stay active in fighting for New York. As to politics, I haven't made any decisions on that. But that was Act 1, Scene 1 for me. Yeah.
All right. Final question here. New York still faces, I think, an $11 billion deficit, depending on who you talk to. The number fluctuates. I mean, how concerned are you, and do you think that with the people in place, we can get New York fiscally solvent again?
What did they do last year? The year before, in 2009, we had a $10 billion deficit. They solved it by raising taxes $10.5 billion. In 2010, they said, we're going to have another $10 billion, $9 billion, or whatever it was, deficit. And the people said, no, you're not raising taxes and fees anymore. And they said, we're not raising taxes and fees. We're going to solve this budget. We're going to solve it. March 31st comes, extenders, okay, beyond, okay, and blah, 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 blah. And the people kept hearing budget, 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 budget. All of a sudden, they passed the budget. They passed the final extender bill and with the final budget pieces in it. And nobody was asking anymore about taxes and fees. These guys are good at what they do. They're good at chicanery. They're good at smokescreens. And that's what they did. They fooled the people again. They raised the taxes $5.5 billion. Come on. What do you think they're going to do this year? Is he really going to take on the establishments? Is he going to take on the entitlement people? He wants to be president of the United States. Is he going to take on the unions? This guy wants to be president. It's going to be more chicanery, smoke and mirrors and all that nonsense, and Sheldon Silver will show him exactly how to do it because he's been doing it for so long.
All right, anything I missed or anything else you'd like to touch on?
That's about it for now.
I had a quick question. You mentioned that you had some other motives in scaring a few people with the letter to Liz Benjamin that you sent out. was wondering, did you have any other, intents when you sent that letter, and did you achieve them, or do you think that?
Well, I wasn't only talking to Liz Benjamin. I was talking to the entire press corps about doing their job, about what journalism is really about, and they didn't do that. I mean, we saw editorializing on the front page solely by the appointment of who they were sending out to go and do things. I mean, it was editorially, as I've seen constantly, and it was wrong, and shallow, and disingenuous. I watched Liz very shallowly go into topics, and I was pointing out some of those topics that she could go in greater depth. You see, a lot of these young people in journalism today, they don't know any other way. They think that this sandbox that government plays in today, that's it. They don't think outside of it. What we tried to show them in the election was there's a constitution. This government does not act constitutionally. 3 men in a room is not written anywhere in the Constitution. All right, there's a body of people in the legislature that are entitled to a little bit more than getting a bill on their desk 15 minutes before, hundreds and hundreds of pages, 15 minutes before they're supposed to vote on it. And then the horror is that they actually vote on it and don't have a clue what's in it. How bad is that? And they admit it. See, our government has it's traveled away from its core responsibilities to serve the people. It's all about serving an entitlement class, whether they be a wealthy entitlement class or a poor entitlement class, very recklessly, very carelessly. Right now, they serve them through a bureaucracy. They don't even pass legislation to make the rules for Medicaid. The rules are made by a Medicaid by a health commissioner and some people working for him, who are progressive elitists. Okay, that figure it's the money's there. Let's spend it, and we can always get a little bit more. We'll squeeze the taxpayers for everything we can get. They have no regard for the job losses, for the families that are suffering, from the families that just can't pay their property taxes anymore, and they can't stay in the home that their dream home for their life. They have to move out. Cheaper for them to go to Florida. I can go on and on and on. Thank you.